One power, one power. That's what we talk about here. That's what we live here. That's the center and core idea of this teaching. So I invite you to join me, if you will, in an opening treatment or spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer. We use a lot of names for this process, and we'll hear more about that later. So know with me, there's one power, one light, one life. It is everywhere present within each of us and within everything. All that is created out of it. So as I come to this time now, this place, this moment, I am open in my heart and mind to new ideas that come up from within me, to new feelings, to new thoughts, to creating a new and greater life for myself as I begin this wonderful new year. It is my time for 2020 vision. I let it be my truth. I let it be so, and so it is. So I'd like to welcome everyone to our celebration and to our center. We are a center that is dedicated to teaching principle, to living principle, and participating and supporting each other as we do that. We are a center that is focused on the teachings of Ernest Holmes and others in the New Thought movement. We are a group that is really all about love more than anything else. We are a place where you are welcome, and we invite you to enjoy this moment. If you haven't heard it yet today, you're in a place where you're loved, where you're honored, and you're appreciated for who you are. There's no difference for us in any of the ethnicities, in your sexual orientation. We honor and celebrate you for whoever you are, because we know who you are. We know you are an expression of the divine. You're an individualized version of this wonderful thing called life, this wonderful thing called God. So how could we do any less than celebrate and enjoy who you are? So we welcome you. If you're here for the first time, we do have some welcome information out at the table, and I would like to encourage you to say hello and ask any questions you have, and give us a chance to greet you and show you how we care in this place for each other as well as our new folks. So be sure and take a moment to do that. Our next step in honoring and recognizing the truth is to share together what we teach, what is our core principle. And I invite you to join me if you would like and read it. It's in your program, and it will be on the screen behind me as well. If you'd like, you may stand. I believe in one God, one absolute power, and first cause to all things. I believe that this power is perfect love, and it creates out of a desire to express love. I believe all thought is creative,
and how I choose to think creates my personal experience.
I believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever unfolding. I believe in the eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the eternal givingness of God to all. And so it is. Thank you, and be seated. So you might as well stay here. Good. You just wait. You just step back waiting for me. So today, as we do every week, we have a practitioner, someone who is really immersed in this teaching, to share with us a few words and to lead us in a more in-depth spiritual mind treatment. However, today we have a reverend, and those of you who already know Marilyn know that she is a founding minister of our center and has been here and been part of us for a long time. For the last 2 years, she has been, 2 years or more? Two, okay. She has been a minister supporting us in absentia, although her presence and her consciousness has been 100% with us through all this time. She is a huge support to me. She has been doing our accounting and keeping us on track in the business part of this center. And I am grateful to be able to welcome you and honor you and allow you to say some words to us and lead us in treatment.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good morning. Thank you. It is good to see so many of my friends again. What I've been doing for the past 2.5 years, I've been in Claremont, California, attending Claremont School of Theology. And people ask, well, you already have 2 ministerial licenses. Why do you want to go to a theology school? And my answer is because I want to know more. greater expansion of knowledge of the Bible, greater expansion of knowledge of my favorite Greco and Roman religions. Where did it all start? And then added on to that are spiritual formation. How did we begin? And practical application. How do we use what we know to make this world a better place? So I'll graduate in May 2020, so yes. And my work after that will be using what I've learned in a class called womanist theology. Womanist theology is about the lessons and the life challenges that are presented by or affected by black women. And that is my commission from this point forward, is to form small groups of black women who are not coming into religious science centers. So we're going to take religious science out into the world where women can learn what we know, learn affirmative prayer, learn that God is within us, learn that we are wonderfully and beautifully made, and mainly in order to overcome the trauma of what happened when Africans were dispossessed from homes in Africa where our ancestors were business owners. Our ancestors were doctors. Our ancestors, we had generations of children who were learning how to become landowners and own their own businesses. All of that was lost when we were dispossessed from Africa into the American colonies. And what that created was called souled wounds. And the effects of those wounds we're still experiencing today in our relationships with one another, in our relationships with our partners, and in our relationships with our children. So as we learn to apply the principles of science of mind, along with another model that I'll be using called internal family systems, which is what Reverend Ursula teaches, I think between the two, then we'll be able to reach women where the pain is and heal it. And then we will take these healed souls and learn to own our own businesses, take care of our own health, have our own insurance companies, become politicians ourselves, where we can become judges, lawyers, Supreme Court justices. Once you know that you are strong and empowered and you can do everything because this power of God resides in you, all around you, and you see God in everything, then you're not a victim. And that's what I will be teaching. We are not victims. We are empowered women with strength, with intelligence, with intuition. And we have brought our whole culture for hundreds of years. It has been the black woman who has stood and withstood all of the pain, the agony of separation, the invisibility, the lost voices. We have withstood to survive today so that our children will have a future. So we're going to take it one step further and ensure that our children have a future ourselves by not depending on anything outside of ourselves. So that is my work. So as I prepare for that work, then I will be releasing the work that I've done for this center and for SLCA before we started this center in 2012. So we'll be releasing all of the business, all of the accounting to others who can do that, because that's no longer what I choose to do. So it has been enjoyable. As you all know, there's many of you who were here from the beginning. And so David Barrett, in his vision, gave us the opportunity to not only share his vision, but to build on our own visions of what we wanted in a center. We spent a year planning what we wanted to see here. And we wanted more community. We wanted more events. We wanted people to be engaged. And so the whole practitioner corps, April Jessup, John Karn, and all of them have gone now, but everyone who was here then, we were committed to making this a community where everyone would feel special and where we would want to come, be excited to come to church on Sundays. And I know you all remember the parties and the picnics and the concerts. So we celebrated our lives. We celebrated all of these events. By having fun together, we also cemented our feelings of being a family, of being a community. And for that, for all of you who are here and who supported me in all of my missions, you attended everything. For that, I appreciate you. And I really appreciate David Barrett for allowing me to become a part of building this from his vision. I remember when it was just a seed, and we had to push until it was time. And when it was time, he was ready to step into to creating this. So being part of a creation is always exciting, and I've learned a lot. But mainly, I've had all of these friendships, and they'll be lifelong friendships. Ross and Eleanor, there's Catherine, there's Walter, there's Tracy and Judy, and Lynn and Rick. And if I forget anybody, Sylvia, yes. All of them. We were here from the beginning. And my vision for you, or my affirmation for you, is to create the center based on the consciousness of what you want. We created based on what we wanted. So now I'm the last founding minister. So now once I'm moved away, then it's up to you to pull together, to create a vision. Where do you want to meet? What do you want to be? What do you want the Center for Spiritual Living Midtown to look like based on what you see? And then create it from there, because you do have the power. So now I did bring some other stuff for you. This is from Ernest Holmes. It's called A New Year and a New You. And I'll read some of it, not all of it. If you want it, I can hand it to you. As we approach the new year, there is no need to let ourselves be bound by our old thought patterns, the resistance and the inertia of negative habits. Some may say, if you weren't very happy last year, how can you expect to be happy this year? Why can't you change this situation? I covet for all of us in the new year that we shall no longer be just theoretical, just filled with hope, which is wonderful, but that some dynamic proof shall come to each one, that each shall know that there has to be a way, a technique to approach and use that power greater than we are. It is so simple that very few people will believe it. It is the meaning back of our words, the feeling, the acceptance that give the words the only power they have. Prayer should be simple. Treatment should include only the use of such words as to have a meaning to us, and we should feel their full significance. We must come to know that this very peculiar and elusive thing we call our mind is not our mind at all, but the one mind operating through us. I believe there is only one spirit, and we live by it. There is only one law, and it operates through us. So now I invite you to let's take those words in as you become comfortable in your seats. And you may close your eyes if it feels comfortable for you. And just to get centered, just take some deep breaths. As you listen to these words, God is all. One spirit, one life, one love, one law, one mind. Spirit is one, is everywhere, fully expressing itself as everything, and every one. Spirit is forever and ever expanding into a greater expression of itself. It is always unfolding and becoming more good, more love, more joy, more peace, more clarity. God is fully holy and completely expressing itself as me, as all of who I am. And knowing this, I know clearly that infinite presence is holy and completely expressing as each and every person in this place and all people everywhere. I release anything that is blocking the true light and love of Spirit from flowing to me and through me. I release negative or limiting thoughts. I release fear of the future based on the negative and limited thoughts of others, and renew my mind with expansive thoughts, thoughts of harmony, thoughts of happiness, and divine right action. I fill my mind with right thinking. I am joyful and expectant. I look forward to experiencing even greater health, greater prosperity, greater love, greater joy, because I choose to renew my mind in the one mind. I choose now to reveal my life as the one life. I choose now to experience myself in love as the one love. I am holy and completely renewed. I am so grateful to know and speak these words of truth. I accept infinite and divine possibility as my very essence. I release these words into divine law and know that they are acted upon immediately and with powerful and positive results. I allow this great love and law to operate in, through, and as me. And so it is. Oh, it is. Thank you. Now another blast from the past, from our SLCA days. Yeah, a minute ago, huh, Patrick? Please enjoy this beautiful music of Patrick Hutchins.
Thank you, Marilyn. Okay. So it's a new year, and I brought my list of places where you will find God again. It's a long list. This is not complete, but this is a lot of them.
Wow, thank you. So for those of you who are uncomfortable with the God word, I apologize for that song. However, it's a great point and a great place to start, so I'm not going to apologize very much. It is a core part of this teaching that the idea of God is central and founded and bounded up in it. However, it is not core and central that it is God by any definition you may have heard before, unless you've already been part of this for a while. Nor is it the idea that God fits into any of those many, many descriptors and descriptions as it shows up, by whatever name. As we talked about in the opening song, it's all one, as he just so beautifully demonstrated. Not only is it in, but in our teaching, we know that we are in it. And it not being a diminutive or something we wouldn't say about this wonderful power, but it's something we would use to honor it because it defies being part of this gender or that gender. So it's both he, she, they, we, all. So it seems to be the best word we've come up, best pronoun so far we've come up with. Someone said maybe they is a better word, but that implies that it's multiple, and it really is just one. So today we're talking about this back to basics, foundational ideas of our teaching. We're doing this for the whole month. And what is real about that is that Each Sunday this month, we're going to tackle a different basic idea and do some talking and thinking about it. So today we're talking about the core idea, the beginning place, the thing itself, as it's called in the beginning of the textbook, or this thing called God. There's a great story. So what I would remind you of is the old Hindu story. It comes out of India, of 6 men who went to look at an elephant, determined to understand an elephant from their own perspective and from their own seeing it for clarity and truth. However, these 6 men were blind. So as they approached the elephant, the first one came up to the elephant and ran into the elephant's side and said, "Oh my goodness, it is very clear. An elephant is a wall." And they all thought, interesting. The next one walked into the elephant and kind of bumped into the front end of the elephant and found this wiggly thing called the trunk and thought, no, an elephant is a snake. Interesting. The next one ran into the front end and bumped into the tusk and said, "Oh my gosh, the elephant's like a sword. It's not anything soft or wall-like. It's a sword." And the next one ran into the back end of the elephant and found the tail and said, "Oh no, it's a rope. It's a rope." Another ran into the leg and said, "It's a tree." Another ran into to the ears, felt the ears. "No, it's like a great leaf." And that's the ideas that we get of this thing called God. This thing called God, we in this teaching talk about it as the infinite, an infinite energy, an infinite power. And yet all over the world, as long as human beings have been thinking, we have been looking to understand what is this infinite, what is this ultimate. And so we've all come up through our various cultures and backgrounds and places in life with images that made sense. When I got into this teaching, I was in a doctoral program at the time, and I was working in that, looking for what is this unified something that's behind all of the different stories about God. There must be something. We have the stories of Jesus. A friend of mine says that, and one of our teachers actually says, Jesus came to show the way, and we've been studying his fingernail ever since. And someone else has a great clarity about the way, whether it's Buddhist. Whether it's Buddhist or Hindu or any of those descriptors. That's the song said, pagan, wherever. But they're all just a part of the picture, because none of us have the whole picture. And what I discovered when I found this teaching is here is a theory, a teaching, a spiritual approach that gives the bigger picture within which you can understand all of those religions. You can understand the ideas of the infinite coming from all kinds of places, because we all need to have an idea of that and how we live. I believe that one of the core pieces of how we live is what we believe in our heart of hearts that the ultimate power of life is. Whether we call it God, whether we call it something else, or whether we don't call it anything. But our belief about what is the ultimate power determines so much about our choices, about how we spend our time, about where we spend our place. So if nothing else, I want today to be an opportunity for you to think about what is your idea of ultimate power. Is there a power in your life that's bigger than government? Is there a power in your life that has more authority than I do, or any religion, or any approved guru, or any perceived leader? Is there an authority or a sense in your life of an authority that's greater than that? Or not? And there's no right or wrong answer here. There's just what is true for you, because that will determine where and how and what choices you make and how you live. The philosophers call this reality, this ultimate something. Scientists call it principle, an ultimate principle. Religions call it God. And our spiritual teaching calls it infinite intelligence, cosmic energy, ultimate truth, ultimate reality, and all kinds of other names based on who the teacher is and what they're teaching at the time. There's not one final word because it's infinite. So you can't have anything that would contain and hold the infinite because it wouldn't be infinite anymore. You also can't have but one. That's another really interesting thing about this infinite, this one something. The scientists have been studying this now through physics and quantum physics and the physics of physics, and they've gotten down and they keep looking for what is the thing behind it all, what's the one unifying field that makes sense for all of creation, and where they come out now is something called consciousness. And if you've been around here long, you know consciousness is one of those names for the infinite. It is an infinite power, an infinite consciousness that creates out of itself. And everything that is, all that list he made and everything else, lives within that infinite consciousness. All that we are, all that we could ever be, all that has ever been or ever would be, is shaped within that consciousness. We often say it's made out of it, but the implication there is it comes out, but it doesn't go out. It's still within the consciousness. So it's created within that consciousness. That is the infinite consciousness we call God, or spirit, or life. All creation stories, if you think about them, the story of Adam and Eve, the story of the creation in the various Native American myths, and all of these are not stories about a time before form or shape, but they're stories about the process out of which things go from this infinite, unformed power and come into a form as we know it. And whether that's with God speaking the word and creating the heavens and earth, and then creating the plants and animals or the minerals first, and then the plants and animals, or whatever order of that. Or in the Toltec tradition that the gods got together and had a council and decided on how they would create life on the planet, or on the planets, on all planets, create planets. And they decided the place to start was to create light. Kabbalah says that the Creator, the infinite, is darkness. It's not light. And out of that darkness, through the spoken word of the darkness, light is formed. All of these are stories about how it happens for us every day. It's not about way back when. It's about right now. How do I get from a good idea, like you've just laid out for us, beautifully in your ministry plans, how do I get from that good idea into the actual shape and form of it? It starts with light. It starts with consciousness. It starts with awareness. It starts with declaring your truth and seeing it take shape and take form. It's a wonderful process. It's an exciting adventure, an adventuresome process. So what difference does all this make? This. If you're living, and I believe we are, within a universal infinite consciousness, then all of its qualities and possibilities are mine because I'm within it. I'm made of it. So my word, the thoughts I have, the thinking I'm thinking, the words that I speak and think are not just my words, but they're words of this universal oneness. One of the qualities of this consciousness that the humans have come to believe in over the millennia is that it is all knowing and all present and all powerful. So if it's present in me and in you, when you speak your word, whether it's out loud or in your own mind, it is speaking the word of the infinite, or the word of God. That sounds bold. That sounds blasphemous in certain groups. And yet it seems to be true, because if you speak your word and you believe it in faith, you have faith in it, it's what you really know and believe to be real and true, then it begins to take shape and take form. And I could ask right now for any of you to stand up and testify. We aren't going to do that. But if we did, there would be stories all over this room of you speaking your word and seeing it come into full fruition. From things as simple as manifesting a small thing you've lost to creating careers and jobs and trips and being part of a larger infinite possibility, an infinite expression of life according to your desire of it and for it. You have that power. It is within you because it is who and what you're made of. We're all made of star stuff. Go back to the Big Bang. It all comes out of that. That means you and me. We're made of star stuff. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Hitch your wagon to a star." Have that vision, that dream that who you are and what you're about is bigger because of this one infinite power in which we live, breathe, move, and have our being. I spoke my word this week. On a trivial matter, I moved last week. My house consists of a few paths and lots of boxes. New furnishing, new decorating. It looks really interesting. One box I needed, had to have, necessary. Had things in it I couldn't go another day without. Couldn't find it. Did a treatment. Got clear. Okay, every consciousness that had something to... Gosh, this is hard to stay put. Every consciousness that had something to do with that box is part of the same consciousness I'm part of. And so I started imagining and thinking about all of those people, because there were quite a few that handled things helping me move. All of those people in their minds knew a piece of where that thing was. And I was going through it all, and I just formed it up. And then I got this sense that, okay, it's done. The box is found. Don't worry about it anymore. Because I'd been kind of frantically going through, looking. So I backed off. I said, okay. And I started doing something else, and I went in the other room to look for something. And I'm leaning on this stack of boxes while I'm leaning over and pulling out the one I saw. And I noticed what my elbow was resting on. And it was a box labeled exactly what I was looking for. And I opened it up, and there it was. I quit worrying about it. It appeared. Now, that's a small thing. But think about if you apply that to the big things. I knew at one point that coming to Atlanta was in my future and would happen, and I would be here doing ministry. I did not know when. I wasn't sure where. But I knew, and I felt it, and I could taste it and feel it and wanted it. About the time that I finished up my work at home office, this opened up. Paul called me and said, "Hey, are you still interested in Atlanta?" And I said, "Hey, yes, sir. Let's see what we can do." And so I'm here, and we've started a whole new chapter, and we're building on this wonderful work that's gone before us. But now we're starting something new. And as you said so beautifully, what's our consciousness? What's our desire? What word are we going to speak now and into the future for this community, as this community, in sharing and creating that which we want it to be? Because the universe is not just saying yes to our desire, our belief. It is the universe that's speaking it to begin with. It is the infinite that is speaking when you declare your truth. Now, that may make you shake a little bit when you find yourself stomping around your house saying negative things about yourself. My life's a mess. That's God speaking. Holy Moses, look out. I don't know about you, but the more I say those kinds of things, the messier it gets. The more I can declare my life is poised and peaceful and easy and beautiful, the more it is poised and peaceful and easy and beautiful. And I attract to me all of those opportunities to live in that space and that place. So I want to close by saying that this is not, this teaching in this center is not a religion. We are We are what some would call a trans religion. We're beyond religion. We're also a pan religion in that the teachings that we bring here are permeating and possible and can be found in every religion. So we're not a religion. We're not about creating practices and laws and rules that you have to adhere to. We're about honoring each other and loving each other and allowing each other to be the creative expressions of that one power that we already are. We're about supporting each other in creating the lives of our dreams and our desires and loving the world as we're doing it. We're not just a feel-good teaching. We're not a get-rich-quick. If you're looking for that, sorry. But you know, what we are is a group of people who are ready to dive deep and seriously into the study of reality, which is another word for God, and our relationship to it, and how we use that relationship to live the lives of our desire. Now, out of that may come some get rich quick, and may come a lot of healing, and may come all kinds of other wonderful things. But it comes as a byproduct of recognizing who and what we are and living from that depth. So I double dog dare you to join us. That's an old Southern term for those that don't know. I invite you to consider whether that kind of a path is for you, and this kind of a community is a place where you would like to put your heart, your soul, your mind, and get involved. You're invited to do that because you're wonderful and you deserve it, and you deserve only the best. And so do I, and so it is. Thank you. So if you will, join me in a closing treatment or a treatment. Spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer. What I know is this. I open my heart and my mind and I take a moment to consider the possibility that I am immersed in a universal consciousness that is responding to me according to my belief. And I recognize right now that I am committed and dedicated to establishing in consciousness those beliefs which serve my highest and greatest good, and therefore serve the highest and greatest good of all humanity. My good is built upon the good of all life that supports everyone else. I choose now to let go of ideas that no longer serve me, to let go of old systems and ways of being, and to stand instead in the truth that there is only one power, one consciousness, one whatever name I give it, and that one is a place of joy, a place of freedom, a place where I can have no harm, and is a place, first of all and foremost, in consciousness, in my mind. I return to it every moment. Every time I may feel myself feeling separate and alone, left, victimized, hurt, or harmed, I simply turn away and turn back to the awareness that I am an expression of this creative power. And as such, I get to create with joy and ease and freedom. I listen to the power of life within me. And I declare it good and very good. I let it be. And so it is. And now we're going to hear announcements from one of our wonderful board members, Reverend. I almost called you doctor. You're not a reverend either. He acts like one, though. Bob Townsend, come right up. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Reverend Bob. I'm Bob Townsend. I'm a member of your Board of Trustees. And we're at the place in this celebration that is an opportunity to show your support for this center and the work through your giving to it. This center is important to me because of the teachings it offers that help me live a happier life, a balanced, happier life. Therefore, and out of a deep sense of gratitude, I support it with my time, talent, and treasure. And I ask you to consider supporting it as well at this particular point in time. This teaching, Science of the Mind, comes easily and effortlessly to me, and I now enjoy the bounty and abundance that this spiritual path has provided me. One of the pillars of the Science of Mind principle that I affirm virtually every day, sometimes multiple times a day, I quote, "I believe all thought is creative, and how I choose to think creates my personal experience." Through this affirmation, I know that there is no lack or limitation in the life I live. I continuously reinvent myself, as my daughter has said to me on previous occasions, finding new and better ways to enjoy life. This affirmation, I know that there is no lack or limitation in the life I lead. I think it, I believe it, I trust in it, I can manifest it. In this universe, there is abundance and prosperity for all. The word prosperity in the textbook of Science of the Mind is defined as, and I quote it, "Prosperity is the outpicturing of substance in our affairs. Everything in the universe is for us. Nothing is against us. We must know that everywhere we go, we meet friendship, love, human interest, helpfulness. Life is ever giving of itself. We must receive, utilize, and extend the gift. Success and prosperity are special attributes belonging to all people.